By raise of hands, how many of you would like to be famous? This guy? This guy. How many of you guys would like to discover something new or fix some world problem? How many of you would like to sit alone in your house and contemplate some deep thought rather than go out to a party? Interesting. There's a dividing personality line between two types of people. These two types of people are commonly known as introverts and extroverts. This dividing personality line indicates where we draw our strength from, who we gravitate towards, who we like to be our friends, what we like to do with our time, and even what we're going to become. As an introvert, I'm here to tell you three things. One, why it's so okay to be introverted. Two, why us introverts and extroverts need to collaborate and work together. And three, why we all could use to be a little bit more introverted. According to the survey that I took of this class, 2 of you said that you were introverted. A few of you weren't sure, and the rest of you said you were extroverts, or claimed to be extroverts. Now this is a 20-to-1 ratio, or 5% of the population claiming to be extroverts. What would you say if I told you that the ratio is actually 20 to 45% of you that are more prone to introversion? This means that 1 in every 2 or 3 of you would actually fall more along the line of an introvert rather than an extrovert. And this is according to the famous Myers-Briggs Type Indicator Survey, which you can take online at humanmetrics.com if you just want to know where you fall on that scale somewhere. Introversion is commonly misunderstood, I would say. What do you think of when you think of an introvert?
Someone who does tend to keep to themselves.
Okay, perhaps someone that's socially awkward, keeps to themselves, doesn't like to talk to people, maybe doesn't have very many friends. This is a common misconception. Introversion simply means that you draw your energy from yourself, whereas an extrovert is somebody that's motivated to action by being in a group. To explain this a little bit better, extroversion, or an extrovert, takes the inertia of the group around him and uses kind of a group think to motivate him to actions, whichever the actions are. Whereas an introvert simply finds that inertia inside of themselves rather than pulling it from everyone around them. Let's not forget some of the spectrum. There is a spectrum of introversion and extroversion, and none of us fall on one side completely or on the other side. Carl Jung, the psychologist that coined the phrase introversion and extrovert, he said that there's no such thing as a true introvert or extrovert because this type of person would be a complete lunatic. And if there is somebody that's right in the middle, and it's called an ambivert, but I've never met one, and that's neither here nor there. Just in case you're wondering. Some of the greatest leaders that the world has ever known have been introverts. Oh, here we go. Eleanor Roosevelt, the Dalai Lama, Rosa Parks, Abraham Lincoln, Benjamin Franklin, and Gandhi are all remarkably successful world leaders who describe themselves as inward searching, inward reaching, and introverted. Let's not forget the technological advances that we'd be completely without had it not been for our precious commodity of introverts. Albert Einstein, Thomas Edison, and Dr. Nathaniel Michaels and Vijay Kumar, who invented the autonomous flying robots, who I'm sure you know a lot about. All of these people are introverts. it's definitely okay to be introverted. In the times that we live in, and the culture that we live in, it's referred to as the culture of personality, where we seek to emulate the man of action, the person with the most charisma and the most personality or likability. Before the Industrial Revolution, it was called the culture of character, where a person's integrity and their opinion and their steadiness was what was valued. And it's no wonder that right after the boom of big industry and the boom of big business, that this extrovert type person became the most successful and the most rich because of their salesman-like ability to adapt to any group and to rise to the top of the social ladder. And it's not bad to be an extrovert. I definitely want to put that out there. I'm not trying to rag on extroverts. I just know what it's like to be an introvert, so I'm trying to help you see my point of view. Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak are an example of an introvert and an extrovert that works together. We all know who Steve Jobs is. Many of us don't know who Steve Wozniak is. That's because he's very introverted. He said, and I quote, "I probably wouldn't have invented Macintosh if I hadn't been too afraid to come out of my house." Steve Jobs was very extroverted and had a great flair for people and design. They collaborated, and now there's one of the greatest enterprises that the world's ever known, Macintosh, or the Apple. We need to work together and collaborate together, and I think that's a really important point. And thirdly, with the current problems that we face, we need armies of people working together to come up with the solutions to these problems. We need magnetism and charisma. We need steadiness and introspection. We need to be our best selves in order to come up with the answers to the problems that we face. I'm an introvert, almost violently so. I'm terrified of people. I'm afraid of you and you and you right now. I find it hard to look people in the eye for very long. When I want to do something wild and crazy, it's usually solo. I usually end up going on some type of a journey or some hike or some place where I can recede into myself and do what I love doing, being with myself. I like to go to a library and spend copious amounts of time or all day reading a good book, contemplating, and I enjoy it. And I find I get propulsion from it. I mean, I need people too. I'm not saying that I am antisocial, but it was much more difficult for me to be able to learn how to connect with people and to learn to be more extroverted, which is something that I think is important for introverts to do too, as well as extroverts. This is my bag. This has been with me through almost all my travels. It's seen almost all 50 states and a lot of really interesting tales. But inside this bag is where I keep all the things that are most precious to me, the things that I found out about myself on my journey. And I don't want to distract too much from the speech, but if you'd like to look at these afterwards, you're welcome to come and look at them. I learned that I love to write music. I learned that I love to carve and to leather work. I learned that I love to draw. I love poetry. I love to write songs. And write music. None of these things would I have learned about myself had I not been on a journey of some sort, had I not been on an introversion of a type. So finally, I would say that we all need, with the great push that there is in the society to be extroverted, we could all do with a little bit more introversion. We could stand to go on those journeys of solitude and find the revelations that only come with solitude, because creativity is essential, or solitude is essential to creativity. In conclusion, I would hope that you introverts learn that you are your greatest strength. You can handle, if you want to be more extroverted, that's fine, but you are your greatest strength. I would hope that you extroverts collaborate with an introvert and find the gold mine of character that they have, and learn to work together and pull your strengths, the yin and the yang of humanity. And finally, I would hope that we all go on a personal journey, that we all go into nature, go into the wilderness, whatever you'd like to do, and find those revelations that can only come through solitude. Thank you. I can now take 2 questions. Abu?
Do you think introversion or extroversion come from nature or nurture?
The question is introversion or extroversion something that comes from nature or nurture? And my answer to that would be largely nature. Biologically, our personalities are just kind of set. We come in a package, and that's sort of the way we are. Nurture-wise, things can be affected on us as we grow up that can make us more one way or the other. I've drastically overcome my extreme paranoia of people, but it doesn't change how introverted I am. Does that answer the question?
Would you classify yourself as being antisocial in any way, shape, or form as classifying yourself as an introvert?
The question is, being an introvert, do I look at myself as antisocial just because I'm an introvert? I would say yes. Just because the amount of social activities I like to do aren't up in par with somebody that is really extroverted, for instance. It doesn't change. I would say the only thing different is just the ratio of how often I like to do it. After a good long read at the library, I feel so invigorated that I want to go and spend some time with people. And I can take one more question if anyone would like. No?
Would you say that it almost seems like you go back and forth? Because personally, I feel like sometimes I feel like an introvert where the other day I went kayaking by myself and it was awesome. But then sometimes I'm like, no, I like to talk to people. And do you feel like you go back and forth, or just some people do, or?
Okay. The question is, how much do we fluctuate between introversion and extroversion? I would say that really depends on who you are, for one thing. But just as being humans, all of us need introversion, and all of us need extroversion. So even someone that's like me, who's really violently introverted, I really crave, the animal warmth of people and laughter of friends, and I want to be around people, And so it's not like, but I crave a certain type of people. I want people that are going to be okay with my long silences and going to be okay with my introversion, Not people that want me to be extroverted. So I would say that how much you fluctuate does depend a lot on kind of where you fall on that spectrum. So in conclusion, thank you for your questions. Thank you for letting me talk to you. And I would hope that you take from this that it's okay to be introverted. Hopefully you extroverts will want to collaborate with an introvert a little bit more. And hopefully all of us will take a journey of some sort and become a little bit more introverted. Thank you.